Yeah, good day. Welcome to Crummy and Hank's adventure to Big Sand Lake. Just going to start off with a trip with the family, dropping me off at the airport here shortly, and they're on their way to Ohio. But about this video, for those who've never been to Big Sand Lake and are interested in going, there's a number of things that would be handy for you to know, such as fishing gear. You know, you got a 50-pound weight lift and or 50-pound capacity to take with you, and you're probably not going to want to take all the fishing gear that you've got planned. Um, we'll talk a little bit more about fishing gear, but getting to Winnipeg, first of all, you're going to get up early in the morning and head out first thing at about 5 a.m. to the small little airport called Calm Air and hook up with the plane there, load up with a pile of people, and you're going to be landing on a runway shortly. And it's on the top of an 1,100-mile esker. It starts at Sand Point on Big Sand Lake. The flight's about 2 hours long, and little snacks on board as to be expected. And it's generally a good, quick flight. And you got some reading to do on the way. So when you get to Big Sand, you'll be, like I say, you'll be landing on a big sand runway, and everybody will be piling off. The guides come out, they load you up, and you can walk from the runway down to the lodge, or you can ride in that classy bus. Anyways, you'll get into your cabins. They'll give you the heads up on what to expect, what to do, what not to do, blah, blah, blah. And there's the cabins. Nice appointed cabins. They have lots of picks in there for you because the place loads up with mosquitoes at night. And in general, you'll be on the water by noon the first day getting ready to fish. So you're up here, you know what you're looking for. It's pike, walleye, and lake trout. Lake trout take a little bit of work. There's very little work to the pike and walleye. They are plentiful and virtually everywhere. Anyways, hope you have some good weather when you're up there. It's cold in the spring. It can be cold in the spring, but we were fortunate on both years to have wonderful weather. Some mornings turn out to be about 5 degrees and warm up to about 18, 15 degrees, and that's quite very doable. Anyways, this big ass lake, it's 70 miles long. South end's relatively shallow. North end's got deep pockets for the lake trout. The bays are full. Whether you're fishing for pike or walleye, you will get both 90% of the time. But you can be very selective in where you go. Your guides are great. Our guide there, you just saw a moment ago, was Blair. Wonderful character, Blair Thomas. We've had him for 2 years in a row. We virtually insisted that we have him on the second round. He's a great character, a lot of fun. And we tend to always make him fish with us as well. Just, three in the boat's more fun. We took a counter with us this year, and we counted up 415 fish in total. If we didn't stop and fish for the elusive or the hard-to-catch lake trout, we probably would have topped out at about 600 or 700 walleye and pike. They are plentiful, like I say. As far as tackle's concerned, body baits, lots of jigs, spinners, the big jigs. You want some big jigs for if you're going to be jigging for lake trout, and if you're going to be trolling for lake trout, spoons work well too. Anyways, we caught a ton of fish. It is probably the best freshwater fishery I've ever experienced in my life. We didn't nail any monster pike. The week before, Blair and his client got a 59.5-inch pike. Our biggest was 42-inch. Hundreds and hundreds in the in the 30 plus inch class. Anyways, we enjoyed this immensely, and if you have time to watch this whole thing, please enjoy.
Out in the wild, wild Men, women, boys, and girls, we try to hook on to some loving, whiskey, fame, diamonds, and pearls. Out in the wild, wild world, they teach you how to swivel and swirl. Now these are a few of the things I see out in the wild, wild world. Politicians kissing babies, a cheap cigar and a hat, a high-fashion dress and a pork chop to fatten up an alley cat, a nose in a spoonful of snowflakes, man from a magazine, writing down every little thing we say, telling what it really means out in the wild, wild world.
One thing you'll definitely enjoy is the shore lunch. It's a nice break to get off the water, just stretch your legs a bit, get out of the boat. Always eating the walleye, kick-ass beans, and fried potatoes. It's a lodge specialty, and it's not to be missed. Well, you won't miss it unless, I think actually one day we went out and we skipped lunch the first day and just kept on fishing. Anyways, it's a great experience. Lots of wildlife in the area. You'll see everything from eagles, bears, moose. We were fortunate this year, and we caught a glimpse of a bull this year and a cow with a calf. It was so if you've got a camera, I'm sure you do, take it along. This is a view from the front of the lodge. This is sunset in around 10:30 at night, so it doesn't really get very dark, and gives you lots of time to just hang out and enjoy the weather. This is probably another morning getting ready to head out. Like I said, we had great weather. As you can see, it's calm as heck, and ideal for that morning pike topwater. Don't forget those babies. They love them, and it's so much fun. You'll see a bit of action with some of that stuff coming up.
Don't you know that you blow my mind, honey? You're sweeter than anything. I need you. Want to get closer to you, to you, to you. I want to get closer to you now. Love ya, I need ya. I think I wanna squeeze ya. Nally, so tally. Girl, you know you really blow my mind. Say it again, just one more time. I've got to know how you came to blow my mind. Closer. Leisure, passion. Tonight's the night. I'm looking for your action. I want to hold you. Don't you know that now you've blown my mind?
Yeah, this is considered Gull Island, and you'll shortly see why. In the later part of June, the gulls gather here, they congregate, nest, and there are tons of them, as you'll see. Anyways, this was just a bit of a break. Crummy wanted to climb the top of this drumlin, or whatever the heck it was, just a big sand gravel island, and they climbed to the top, and I walked around the perimeter of it and shot all these gulls, some of them just starting to hatch. And not an aggressive bird. I can't believe I didn't get shit on, but I had a lot of fun filming him anyways. We were having one of our shore lunches down in the south end, actually the south part of to the boundary where it goes in. I think it's called St. Croix. Anyways, we were having the shore lunch, and Crummy was fortunate enough to spy this moose. We were downwind from him and got actually relatively close enough that we could still see the velvet on his antlers. That was a great experience, that was.
That's the biggest I've ever seen.
One thing for certain is Blair, anyways, he was very fussy on which fish to keep, and for our shore lunch, they had to be a certain size, they had to be small, they had to be plump, and it's so easy to be picky and choosy, and when it comes about 11:30, you're going, okay, we're gonna get ready for lunch. You just go get 4 of them, and for the 3 of you to chow down on.
Oh, he's not bad.
Ooh, look at the wound on the side of him.
I think you're hooked into the gill plate on this one.
Do we want to let him go?
He's cutting your line off.
Nice fish. Here, have it.
This was about the roughest day we had out there. You know, the waves were, a foot and a half. They weren't too bad, but we took a little bit of a beating, and we spent a bit of time working for the lake trout. We were fortunate enough to bag one, and unfortunately lose three, and lost a very nice one right up the side of the boat, 40 plus inches. Anyways, it was a blistering day, and after we finished up with this, we went and had some more lunch, and then we went for a hike. And we hiked into a place where Blair's uncle had transplanted or stocked rainbow trout in an inland lake. They did this when it was built in the late 80s, and nobody's been back there since. The guides talk about it. A lot of people talk about the lake, but nobody's ever hiked back into it. And since 7 years ago, there was a burn in that area, and it was Crummy's goal to get back in there. So since we were getting beaten up with the waves and weather, we decided after lunch we'd take a hike in there. And it truly was a spectacular sight. Like I said, this little pocket lake, it doesn't really have a name. It's just about a kilometer straight ahead there, inland over this old burn area. It's a bit of a rugged terrain to hike, but we hoofed it in there. For as far as we knew, there was a boat left in there, and that's what we were looking for, was a lake with a boat, because we saw two other small little lakes and no sign of life whatsoever, or sign of anything. And we just kept moving on. These kettle lakes, I presume they're kettle lakes, a geological landform from the Ice Age eras. Just actually, it looks like a meteor hit the ground at some point, and it's filled in with runoff water and spring water. The lake was definitely cold, just like the main lake. Anyways, there was a bit of a kettle there with low-lying, and we did find this lake here. I was bringing up the rear, and they're screaming, we found it. And we yelled out, is there a boat? And sure enough, there was a boat. The seats were half charred. One of the oars was half burnt away from the fire that raged through 7 years ago. But this was a bit of an emotional thing for Blair, since it was his uncle who's passed. And nobody's been in there. Everybody's been curious whether or not the rainbow trout actually survived through the fire and through these past 30 years. Anyways, we got in. It was a good hike, and it was a good experience. There's a little gem of a boat, and here we go. So as we paddled about with the 1.5 oars, actually we left the half oar on shore by mistake. As you can see, the lake is quite clear, very clear. And unfortunately, possibly due to the fire, it is totally devoid of life. There's nothing growing in the water near the shore, and we definitely did not catch any rainbows. But it was a fun experience all the same, and it was an amazing landscape to traverse, and sitting way up on top of the start of the esker that runs 1,100 miles right up into Nunavut. And well, we just got off the water to get away from beaten up from the wind for just a little while.
Have you ever seen it?
What an incredible day today we had. Got a couple of lake trout, then we took off on another adventure, and the wind's been hammering all day. But as you can see out here, we've got a lot of smoke in the air. Apparently the forest fire is about anywhere, well, this morning it was about 100 miles away, but it's probably moved closer now because the wind has been wicked. Anyway, did a great trip into a lake for our guide Blair's uncle, who stocked rainbow trout in the lake many years ago. 12 years ago. No. Nobody's been in there for 12 years, but they were stocked about in the 80s when the lodge was first built. Anyways, we got hiked into there over an old burn, and you'll see videos of that. But this is the results of a new burn going on right now, anywhere up to 100 miles away. That's not cloud, and that's not mist. How are you, boys? There you go. Oh, Andy. See you in there in a minute.
What you guys do?
Be leaking though.
Yeah, Crummy knows that guy. I don't know where the fuck that little group are from.
Larry, yeah. I'm sure Buddy will talk to Crumb or something.
Yeah, for
You just
any
said
parts or something.
Yeah.
Because he has connections, to the company that makes those.
Some sort.
Well, it's good Crummy's here then. At least we'll have some connection for parts.
We'll talk to you after, man.
Yeah.
You can smell the smoke in the air. No. They're called OIPs, out of intensive protection.
For regeneration.
Yeah, as far as lures go, the topwater for the pike worked extremely well, especially early in the morning, depending on the wind and weather and everything else. But spinners, spoons, we use small, narrow spoons. We got onto that pattern for the walleye, and surprisingly, they were extremely effective. Actually, it was a lucky strike that seemed to be the number one lure. I think you'll see it here shortly, but like you see here, like I don't know how many double headers, triple headers we had of walleye and pike. This is called No Pike Bay, and it's an interesting spot because you come in through a narrow channel, catch pike all the way in, and there's a point you cross, and virtually we caught maybe 3 pike in this whole bay, and it's just packed with walleye. Why the pike don't enter is beyond me. It's an interesting thing, but we this was our last day going in here, and there's that spoon. There's that Lucky Strike spoon. That thing was just a slayer of walleye the night before and during this day. It even caught that little gem. I think that won the Small Walleye Award. Here's one of our fortunate finds. We came around a point, and the cow and her calf were just waiting in the water. Fortunately, the cow had to wait for the calf, and otherwise she was hoofing it out pretty quick, but had to wait up for her gal, and we were fortunate to get us a few still shots of that. And that's our counter we took with us, so that signified our 400th fish. Like I say, if we didn't stop and go for each day for a few hours for the lake trout, we probably would have been 600-700 pike and walleye for the week. That was one of the rigs we worked for the lake trout. We didn't actually pan out with that one, but the jigs do work well on certain times. If you can find them sitting while you're trolling, drop a marker, and that would be a handy thing to bring. Bring a marker, drop it, and if they're holding on that hole, you can just sit there and jig them out. It worked well for us last year. It didn't this year. Actually, Crummy got the 10th largest in Manitoba last year, and the top 3 largest lake trout were taken at Big Sand Lake the year before. So we'll just see how the records show up for this year. This is a little lake in behind the camp, and you can sign up and go out there for an evening or a day, whichever you choose, and there's pike and walleye in there. We did it the year before, so it's a smaller lake. It's got a river flowing out of it, and yeah, it's a nice evening fish. I'd say there's more productive spots, but it's if you're into exploring the area, it's just part of the package. Yeah, so now we end up in the saddest part of the trip, and this is our last evening fish. After the way it works is at 5 o'clock, you come in 5:30, you get cleaned up a bit, get the stink off you, and have dinner, which is always very, very good. The food is wonderful, and the young gals who serve it to you are very pleasant. And they have beverages available for serve, your wine or your liquor, beer, whatever you like. And then at about 8 o'clock we head out again, and we fish till 10. So now we're just hitting another bay, which I think it's taken us 2 years pretty much to hit all the spots and hit all the productive bays. We lost a couple of huge pike in here late in the evening, but well, so be it. That's a tale for another year. But lots of pike in that size, and lots of fun. It's barbless in Manitoba. Knock down the barbs. You don't have to do it ahead of time, but once you get there, you're going to want to knock down the barbs just for simple release. It just gets too awkward. And when you get when you lose a fish at the side of the boat, unless it's a trophy, it's just as well, because you're just beating yourself up and losing these fish.
What do you have to say this morning, Crummy?
Top notch. Another great season at Big Sand Lake. Planning for next year.
Yeah, the cabins, like I say, are well appointed, and hey, you don't really lack for anything. It's better than most places I've stayed. Excuse me. Anyways, there's chow. There's everybody eating, enjoying dinner.
The breakfast accompaniment.
Is it recording now?
Yeah, stop it.
How do I do that?
Yeah, so now we getting ready to leave. We're on the runway waiting for the plane. It came in about 15 minutes after we were out there. Everything's very well timed. It's an incredibly well run camp. I really have nothing derogatory to say about the place whatsoever. It's incredible fishery, best freshwater fishery I've ever had the pleasure to enjoy, and hated to leave. So, as it is, we're heading home. Hope you enjoy your stay when you get there.
I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Well, before you go up there, if you want to make the trip, just remember, take some rain gear. Don't overload with the fishing gear, but take what you think you need. They have a stocked area. They also have frozen cut herring if you want to do the trolling for the trout. I could suggest you watch on your smartphone the weather channels in Lynn Lake, Manitoba, and Churchill, Manitoba. They'll give you an idea of the weather coming up. So you may want a heavy rain gear depending on the temperature, or you might want to lighten it up and just keep your load light, and I guarantee you, you're going to have a great time. We fished at the last week in June. I'm sure the trout will be driving deeper as the July comes along, and they sit deeper in the holes too, so jigging's more effective, but they do have a bit of a tackle shop, a bit of a clothing shop, but you can pick up your heavy jigs and save you the load that way. Anyways, if you go, I know you'll enjoy it. We certainly did. So, this is from Crummy and Hank. Have a great time at Big Sand Lake, Manitoba. Ciao.
Of the rainbow, so pretty